making her first public statement about the very clear hypocrisy of releasing new images like that, which we just saw on Instagram, while claiming to be the hero for protecting children from social media.
Meghan Markle is once again at the center of a fast-moving online conversation. And this time, it all started with a new set of photos. What was intended as a heartfelt birthday tribute for Princess Lilibet's 5th birthday quickly turned into a major topic across social media.
At 5 years old, Meghan Markle has realised that that poor young girl is the best way for her to make money. So that's why she's defending the fact that she's going to keep going online with these weird sort of half shots, the hearts.
As soon as the pictures appeared online, people began sharing reactions, observations, and theories, and the discussion took off at full speed. What has people talking so much about these images? Why are some users saying the new photos look different from pictures released in the past? And how did a family birthday post end up creating such a massive debate across multiple platforms? Those questions have been spreading everywhere. As more people jump into the conversation, the attention grew almost immediately after Meghan posted several birthday photos on Instagram. Before long, online commentators were placing the new images side by side with older photos that had been shared over the years. Some users highlighted differences they believed they noticed.
A lot of people are not buying the pictures either. I want to show you this from According to Taz, who writes, "Sorry, but the ever-changing hair colour and ever-changing size of their children is what causes so many conspiracy theories."
While others pushed back and argued that factors like lighting, camera angles, image quality, photo editing, or even natural changes over time could easily explain what people were seeing. What started as a simple birthday celebration has now become much bigger than an ordinary family post. Critics argue that nearly every new image released by the Sussex family seems to spark another round of questions and speculation. Supporters, however, say Meghan is simply sharing special family moments while still trying to keep a reasonable level of privacy for her children. No matter which side people are on, one thing is clear. These photos are being examined in incredible detail, and the attention surrounding them has turned this into one of the most heavily discussed royal stories of the week. So what exactly are people focusing on in these latest pictures? Why are older photos suddenly being pulled back into the spotlight? And how did a birthday tribute become the center of such a widespread online discussion involving the Sussex family? Those questions continue to drive the conversation as more reactions pour in every hour.
Children are no longer just participants in digital spaces. They are too often the product.
Before diving deeper into the photos themselves, it helps to understand why this story gained so much momentum in the first place. Timing appears to be a major factor. Just days before the birthday pictures were shared, Meghan publicly discussed social media, online safety, and the importance of protecting young people in digital spaces. Those comments drew extra attention because debates about privacy, public exposure, and life online remain hot topics around the world. We already covered Meghan's appearance in Geneva and broke down that speech in a previous video on the channel. If you missed it, make sure to check it out after this video. You should also see it recommended once this video wraps up. In that appearance, Meghan spoke about the challenges people face online, the impact digital platforms have on everyday life, and the responsibility adults share when it comes to helping create safer online spaces. Under normal circumstances, those comments might not have sparked much debate, but the timing of what happened next caught the attention of a lot of people online. Not long after those remarks, Meghan shared a new collection of birthday photos celebrating Princess Lilibet turning 5. That's when the online conversation really exploded.
Now, my position on this is very clear. I think there's nothing wrong with parents sharing their children online. But remember, Prince Harry has called it evil. He has attacked parents who are doing exactly what you are doing.
Across social media, Users began discussing the photos, and reactions started spreading rapidly from one platform to another. For some observers, the issue wasn't simply that family photos had been posted. Instead, they focused on what they viewed as a contrast between Meghan's recent comments about online spaces and the public attention that followed the release of the images. As the photos circulated across news outlets, social platforms, and discussion forums, people began debating whether the situation aligned with the message she had recently shared. What began as a simple birthday post soon grew into a much larger discussion. Before long, the spotlight shifted away from privacy concerns and landed squarely on the photos themselves. That's where the story took an unexpected turn. A post that was meant to celebrate a family milestone suddenly became one of the most talked about topics across royal and celebrity circles online. Instead of focusing solely on Lilibet's 5th birthday, many users turned their attention to the images. Almost immediately, people started comparing the latest photos with pictures that had been released over the past year. Side-by-side comparisons quickly appeared across X, YouTube, Instagram, and royal discussion communities, adding even more buzz to the conversation.
Share photos of her children on Instagram while criticizing social media. Telling Newsweek, do you buy this? There is a distinction between sharing moments from her life and exposing her children to public scrutiny. Now, this statement came because they knew what was coming. They knew that Lily's 5th birthday was going to be an opportunity for Meghan to make more money.
According to some online commentators, certain details seemed different from one image to another. One of the biggest talking points centered on how Lilibet appeared across various photographs. Users compared the newest birthday images with older family photos and previously released promotional content. Some felt there were noticeable differences, while others suggested that photography styles, lighting conditions, image quality, and presentation choices could explain those observations. The discussion became so widespread that several royal commentators dedicated entire videos to examining and debating the comparisons. Then an older online debate suddenly came roaring back into the spotlight. Many users began pointing to a previously shared photo featuring balloons, an image that had already generated plenty of discussion months earlier. At the time, some viewers questioned whether the photo had been heavily edited,
trying to control everything about a story. And it will bite her later when they get bigger. You most guarantee that will absolutely happen. We've seen it with celebrities now.
They highlighted small details they believed looked unusual when examined closely and shared their observations across social media. Those claims were never confirmed, but the conversation never completely disappeared. Now, after the release of the latest birthday photos, that same image is once again being circulated, analyzed, and debated by online users. Some critics have started revisiting old screenshots, zooming in on specific areas, and comparing past images with the newest ones. According to these commentators, the latest photos have reignited many of the same discussions that were taking place before. As more people joined in, the conversation grew even louder and more intense. Another image that quickly attracted attention was an older outdoor family photo.
We should not accept a digital one either.
But Meghan Markle, are you seriously saying, despite that rhetoric, that your 5-year-old daughter is giving you permission to share her image for money?
Users placed it side by side with the newly released birthday pictures and began discussing differences they believed they noticed. The comparisons spread rapidly across social platforms, drawing in even more opinions from both supporters and critics. Some commentators suggested that certain features appeared different from one image to another. Others pushed back, noting that photographs can often look dramatically different depending on factors such as lighting, camera angles, distance, posture, image quality, and perspective. What one person sees as a major difference, another may view as a completely normal result of how a photo was taken. But once those side-by-side comparisons started spreading, the discussion took on a life of its own. The internet did what it often does. People began examining every detail imaginable.
How can she be smaller now at age 5 than she was a year ago climbing Monmouth Mountain? They are playing games, and I think even using AI to manipulate images.
Hair became a topic of conversation. Height became a topic of conversation. Clothing became a topic of conversation. Even tiny background details became part of the debate. What began as a birthday tribute quickly transformed into a huge online discussion, with countless users sharing observations, opinions, and theories. At a certain point, whether those theories were accurate or not almost stopped being the central focus. The bigger story became the reaction itself. The more attention the photos received, the more closely people seemed to examine each new image that appeared. Several critics argued that this pattern may be creating the exact opposite result of what was intended. Their argument is simple. If the goal is greater privacy, releasing carefully selected photos may not always reduce public curiosity. According to these critics, it can sometimes increase interest instead.
These children have moments where they look completely different in their sizes and the color of their hair. I think what Meghan is doing is trying to control a narrative, but failing miserably at it.
Every new image becomes a headline. Every new image becomes a fresh round of discussion. Every new image becomes something that people online feel compelled to analyze, debate, and talk about for days. And for many observers, that appears to be exactly what happened here. The release of the photos sparked a wave of attention that quickly spread across social media, news sites, and online discussion groups. But supporters of Meghan see the situation from a completely different angle. They argue that Meghan is simply trying to strike a balance between sharing meaningful family moments and protecting her family's private life. Supporters also point out that identifying details are often limited in the images, and that she has generally avoided the level of public exposure seen with some other high-profile figures and their families. From their perspective, sharing occasional photos does not automatically mean giving up personal boundaries. Critics, however, remain unconvinced.
And it's obvious they are heavily photoshopped and often badly, hence the little girl's hand melting into the balloon strings. Harry is creating more speculation over his children than what was ever said about Hewitt and his DNA, and this will backfire on his children as they grow older.
Some argue that if privacy is the top priority, then sharing fewer family images would naturally result in less public attention. Others believe that releasing selected photos while keeping many details out of the public eye can actually increase curiosity rather than reduce it. According to these critics, the limited information often encourages even more speculation and discussion online. That criticism has become increasingly common over the past year, and many reactions to the latest birthday photos reflected that ongoing debate. Interestingly, much of the conversation was not focused on the birthday celebration itself. Instead, attention shifted toward Meghan's broader approach to sharing family-related content online. Comment sections quickly filled with discussions about privacy, consistency, publicity, and public perception. Some users strongly defended Meghan's choices and argued that she has every right to share family milestones on her own terms.
When these children do grow up and they get bigger, they're going to see the manipulation that their mother is doing. They're going to call their mother out later in life.
Others questioned whether the overall messaging felt fully consistent. As more people weighed in, the debate continued to grow. Before long, the conversation expanded far beyond a simple birthday tribute. What makes the situation especially notable is that the attention was not connected to a major royal event, an official announcement, or a public engagement. It was driven almost entirely by a collection of photographs. That alone shows just how much public interest these images generated. As the discussion continued gaining momentum, attention began shifting toward whether Meghan's team would respond to the growing criticism. By that stage, the debate had moved beyond social media comparisons. Major publications were covering the reaction. Royal commentators were discussing it regularly, and many people were wondering if an official statement would eventually follow.
By obscuring their faces, she is demonstrating the very principle she advocates for, giving children privacy, agency, and protection in an increasingly digital world.
According to reports, a response was indeed on the way. Meghan's team reportedly decided to address the criticism directly, explaining why they believe sharing selected family moments can still be consistent with maintaining personal privacy and setting boundaries around family life. But as it turns out, that explanation didn't quiet the discussion at all. In fact, it sparked an entirely new wave of reactions. As the online conversation continued growing, it became increasingly clear that Meghan's team was aware of the attention surrounding the photos and the ongoing debate. Then came the response. According to reports, Meghan's representatives issued a statement explaining why they believe there is a clear distinction between sharing family moments online and inviting broader public scrutiny.
And she's been criticized even in this Newsweek article. And that's what's fascinating. Remember, Meghan has given Newsweek the statement directly to try and sort of dampen down the criticism, but it hasn't worked because Jack Royston goes on to say, based on her spokesperson's statement to Newsweek, Meghan appears to be inclined to double down rather than back down over the images.
The statement was provided to Newsweek and quickly became one of the biggest talking points among royal commentators, media outlets, and social media users. According to the statement, Meghan has long maintained that there is a difference between occasionally sharing personal family experiences and placing family members directly in the public spotlight. The explanation argued that limiting or obscuring identifying features is consistent with the same privacy principles she has discussed when speaking about online safety, digital boundaries, and responsible sharing practices. The statement also emphasized that reducing identifiable details can help protect privacy, personal choice, and long-term digital footprints in an increasingly connected world. In other words, Meghan's position appears to be that family moments can be shared publicly while still maintaining certain limits and safeguards around personal information.
Now, what's interesting is that it's only really the likes of Town and Country and InStyle, really the propagandists, that are going along with Meghan's defense of her decision to share these pictures on Instagram.
On the surface, that explanation may seem fairly straightforward. However, the public response proved far more complicated. Critics quickly questioned whether the statement fully addressed the concerns that had been circulating online. According to many commentators, the debate was never focused solely on whether faces or identifying features were visible in photos. Instead, some observers argued that the discussion centered on the broader pattern of family-related content appearing on Meghan's social media accounts. And that's where another detail started drawing fresh attention. Several reports noted that a number of Meghan's Instagram posts throughout the year have featured family moments and personal milestones. Examples frequently mentioned by commentators included holiday celebrations, birthdays, outdoor activities, travel experiences.
It shows how Meghan is not really willing to have any sacrifice in her life. You know, it's always this compromise or an excuse to make it okay because she doesn't want to have to feel like she's being oppressed to do what she wants to do. So she's going to find
and content connected to various personal and professional projects. As these examples were shared, some critics argued that the latest birthday photos were being viewed as part of a larger trend rather than as an isolated post. From that perspective, the conversation had expanded beyond a single birthday tribute. It had evolved into a wider debate about social media sharing habits, public image, privacy, and where those boundaries should be drawn. Because of that, The statement did little to slow the momentum of the discussion. For some observers, it even had the opposite effect. The response itself became a major story. Royal commentators, online personalities, and social media users began asking a new question. Did Meghan's explanation directly answer the criticism being raised? Or did it simply shift the conversation toward a different part of the debate? That question quickly became the next battleground in an already fast-moving online controversy.
She is highlighting these children constantly and putting them out there front and center to say, look at my children. That's what she is saying. And trying to also say they are mysterious, aren't they? Because when they write, look at the adorable pictures that Meghan shared of her children. That's laughable.
Because while the statement placed heavy emphasis on privacy, many critics continued focusing on public visibility. Those may sound like similar topics, but they are actually two very different conversations. One side argues that limiting identifying details is an important way to protect personal privacy and maintain boundaries. The other side argues that regularly sharing family-related content naturally draws public attention, regardless of how much information is visible in the images. As a result, neither side appeared willing to back away from its position, and the debate only grew louder. Then, another complication emerged. The statement arrived at the exact moment when online discussion surrounding the birthday photos was reaching peak attention. Instead of bringing the conversation to a close, it seemed to place an even bigger spotlight on it. News articles began appearing across multiple outlets, and commentators started examining the statement line by line. Social media users weighed in from every angle.
This poor girl is going to be exploited while her mother claims she's being protected.
Some felt the explanation was reasonable and consistent with Meghan's previously stated views on privacy. Others argued that important questions remained unanswered. Before long, the discussion surrounding a handful of photos had expanded into a much larger debate about privacy in the digital age and how public figures navigate life online. The conversation soon shifted toward broader questions. What does privacy actually mean for someone living in the public eye? Can public figures share selected family moments while still maintaining strong personal boundaries? Or does every post, no matter how carefully presented, automatically create more public interest and scrutiny? Those questions quickly became the center of attention. Supporters argued that Meghan has every right to share personal milestones on her own terms and decide what details remain private.
Meghan is trying to use her children in a way that is not honest. She is trying to represent something that is clearly being manipulated. And you know, that's what people resent. It's like, just be real.
Critics, meanwhile, maintained that the latest statement did not fully address concerns they say have been discussed for months. The gap between those viewpoints kept the conversation moving at full speed. Perhaps most importantly, the response highlighted just how much attention the story had attracted. After all, detailed public explanations are not typically issued unless a topic has become a significant focus of discussion. By this stage, the attention surrounding the photos, the reactions, and the wider debate was impossible to ignore. What began as a birthday post had transformed into a major topic across social media platforms, entertainment coverage, and royal commentary circles. The photos sparked discussion. The side-by-side comparisons intensified debate. Then the official response created an entirely new round of headlines and reactions. But the story didn't stop there.
I call bullshit on this. The woman is a hypocrite, and the release of this statement, this angry statement on Lily's 5th birthday, shows that Meghan is finally feeling the heat over her rank hypocrisy.
In fact, some of the strongest reactions were still to come. Media personalities, commentators, and public observers began weighing in with their own views. questioning whether the explanation had fully addressed the concerns being discussed online. Those responses pushed the story even further into the spotlight and kept the debate alive. If Meghan's team hoped the statement would calm the conversation, that doesn't appear to be how many observers viewed the outcome. Instead, the discussion continued gaining momentum as more voices joined in. Some of the most widely shared reactions came not from anonymous social media accounts, but from commentators and public figures who examined whether Meghan's explanation truly answered the questions many people were asking. One of the most frequently cited responses came from brand and culture commentator Nick Eade, who reportedly suggested that the discussion extended beyond privacy alone and touched on larger questions about public perception, online sharing, and the way personal content is received in today's highly connected media environment. Even after the statement was released, the debate showed no signs of slowing down. That's because many people felt the two sides were talking about completely different issues. While Meghan's team focused heavily on privacy, many critics continued focusing on visibility and public exposure. Those topics may overlap, but they are not exactly the same thing. Supporters argued that limiting identifying details is a practical way to protect personal boundaries and maintain a degree of privacy online. Critics, however, countered that regularly sharing family-related content will naturally attract attention, no matter how carefully the images are presented.
And another point that I wanted to make is just the grooming in general. You're trying to protect your children, but you're putting them out there, and then you're not even grooming them properly. Like, you never see the little girl in proper ponytails with her hair, like as if Meghan put time into the child.
Because of that difference in perspective, neither side seemed ready to change its position, and the discussion kept getting bigger. Then came another twist. The statement arrived at the exact time the birthday photo debate was already dominating conversations online. Rather than cooling things down, it appeared to generate even more attention. News outlets picked up the story, commentators began dissecting the statement point by point, and social media users jumped into the debate in huge numbers. People had very different reactions. Some felt the explanation was logical and aligned with Meghan's previous comments about online safety and personal boundaries. Others argued that it left key questions unanswered. Before long, what started as a discussion about a few photos had evolved into a much larger conversation about privacy, public life, and the realities of social media in the modern era. The focus soon shifted to broader questions that reached far beyond this single story. What does privacy actually look like for public figures today? Is it possible to share selected family moments while still maintaining strong personal boundaries? Or does every post automatically invite additional public interest and scrutiny? Those questions quickly became the driving force behind the debate. Supporters maintained that Meghan has every right to decide what she shares and what she keeps private. Critics continued arguing that the statement did not fully address concerns they say have been raised repeatedly over time.
At 1 a.m. Los Angeles time, here was the Instagram post. Our dream girl, happy 5th birthday, Lil. And I have to be honest, the mainstream media was totally buying this. The Sun, Meghan shares adorable picture with smiling Prince Harry and Lilibet to celebrate daughter's 5th birthday. But there was nothing adorable about this. What it is a hypocritical money play.
The difference between those viewpoints kept the conversation moving at full speed and ensured that neither side was backing down anytime soon. Perhaps the most revealing part of the situation was the sheer amount of attention it attracted. Detailed public responses are not usually issued unless a topic has become a major focus of discussion. By this point, the story had expanded far beyond a simple birthday post. It had become one of the most talked about royal-related discussions online. The photos generated reactions. The comparisons generated more reactions. Then the official statement sparked another round of headlines, commentary, and debate. What started as a family celebration had turned into a much bigger conversation involving privacy, public image, social media habits, and public perception. And the reactions were far from over. Some of the strongest responses came from media personalities, commentators, and public figures who openly questioned whether the explanation had fully addressed the concerns being discussed. Their comments added another layer to the story and pushed it even further into the spotlight. If Meghan's team hoped the statement would bring the discussion to an end, many observers believe the opposite happened. The debate continued gaining momentum as more voices entered the conversation. Some of the most widely shared responses came from well-known commentators who examined whether the explanation truly answered the questions people were asking. One of the names frequently mentioned was brand and culture commentator Nick Eade. According to reports, he suggested that the issue was about more than privacy alone. In his view, the discussion also touched on public perception, online sharing habits, and the way personal content is interpreted and debated in today's fast-moving digital world. For now, Meghan appears to be standing firmly by her approach as the conversation continues to unfold.
But what I found fascinating is that even the article from Emily Barak, who is like the new Omid Scobie, still made the point, this is in Town and Country, that the majority of Meghan's posts on Instagram this year have featured her children. The majority.
The statement released on her behalf made it clear that she believes family moments can be shared publicly while still maintaining privacy and personal boundaries. However, not everyone agrees with that view. And judging by the reaction to these latest photos, this debate doesn't seem likely to disappear anytime soon. In fact, one thing appears almost certain. The next time Meghan shares family-related content online, people will be watching closely. Every image, every detail, and every post is likely to generate fresh discussion as the larger conversation about privacy, public life, and social media continues to evolve. Some people believe the attention surrounding these photos has gone too far. Others argue that the broader questions being raised are worth discussing. Either way, the story has once again sparked strong reactions from all sides and become one of the most talked about royal topics online this week. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think some people are reading too much into these photos? Or do you believe the bigger discussion about privacy, social media, and public figures is an important one to have? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and join the conversation. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest updates on royal news, celebrity headlines, and trending stories. It really helps support the channel and keeps you up to date with all the biggest developments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.